Man, this chapter was incredible. Let's just talk about how, just like Toji, Maki has to leave it all behind. I found it really interesting how Mai explained to Maki, I can see why twins is such a bad omen. It's because we're one and the same. You've got cursed energy, I don't have cursed energy. You want to become the best, I don't care about being the best. Because I'm still here, you'll always be not as good as you can be. In a way, Mai was holding her back, and it sucks and it's sad to say that, but in the Jujutsu world's eyes, everything is selfish. Everything is done for your own goals in this world. Just like Maki and Mai's father, he wanted to become the head no matter what, but because he couldn't, and the reason he says in this chapter is because of Maki and Mai, his children. And it's so crazy how cutthroat the Jujutsu world is. And this is why Toji left. But now we have Maki. She has now left it all behind. But let's get into this. Right? So we start off the chapter. Their dad, he's rambling on the mouth, right? He is just talking his stuff. He doesn't give it down. And, he lets him know, like, again and again, like, look, you guys are failures. The reason, Maki, you couldn't beat me is because, you couldn't judge the distance of my blade. Then he goes on to talk about how, he's a Jujutsu sorcerer, not a swordsman. You judge me off of your standards. You're a failure, Maki, is essentially what he's saying. And he's just demeaning the both of them, especially Maki. And then he goes on to talk about how he really could have been the head of the clan, but his brother recently developed his curse technique. He doesn't know whether or not it was a coincidence or not, but that's what started the point of contention between the two, and what led to him not being the head of the family was that, and because of what his children could do, their capabilities. And that's why he's doing this, right? It's part of the reason why he's doing this, and it's part of some of his regret. He definitely hates Maki and Mai, and this family is absolutely insane. It's unbelievable. And then as they're coming down, Mai mentions, dragging each other down is regarded as a virtue in this country. Yeah, I kind of like that. And then he basically sends them to this room, right? And it's full of a bunch of grade 2 and below curses. And so he's just going to let them basically kill off Maki and Mai. He's not going to do it himself. And this room, I guess, is used for training and punishment, which is interesting. Another part or area of the Zenin clan that we don't know about, and now we know. And you can kind of see the curses kind of rustling in the background, saying a bunch of stuff. And, before he leaves, he's like, look, heavenly restrictions and being physically gifted, like, so what? You have the same powers that everybody else has. The difference is, Maki, we are trained sorcerers. There's nothing special about you. So you can kind of tell he definitely has this hate, especially for Maki, and it really goes to show how the Jujutsu world does not respect anyone without cursed technique. It's unbelievable. But moving on, he leaves and talks about how they're both the stain on their life. And then this is where it happens, right? We scroll down, we see Mai touching Maki. Maki's still alive, thank goodness. And then we get a close-up of Mai hugging Maki, and then we get this sort of flashback on a beach, and this is really symbolic, man, really symbolic. And we get Maki waking up, and Mai explains, look, you get the gist of my technique, right? I can't make large or complex things. And then she talks about how she also has the wound from her father, so she's basically gonna die. Because if you remember, when she made the bullet, her nose started to bleed, and she could only make one thing per day with this technique. mind you. So what happens later is pretty incredible, but the cost for doing this technique is so extreme, especially when she's already injured. So then we get Mai basically talking about, look, you're on your own now, basically implying she's about to die. And then Maki kind of stands up like, look, what do you mean? And she basically talks about, well, we'll just read what she said. I had it figured out quite a long time ago. The reason why twins are a bad omen for sorcerers. To gain something, you have to sacrifice something. This isn't just limited to the binding vow. It's the same principle as getting stronger through painful experiences. Right? And then she says that's not the case for the twins, or for twins, because monozygotic twins are considered one individual in the Jujutsu world. You get me? So right here, you gotta, if we go back to Toji, like I said earlier, you have to sacrifice some things to get stronger in this Jujutsu world. You have to be selfish. And Maki is explaining that because of the fact that we're twins, it doesn't matter how good you get or how good I get. You're always not going to be the best because you have me. And it's again, it sucks that she has to say this, but she understands, like, look, I know what you want to become, Maki, and I know what I want to become. I don't want to be what you want to be, but I know I'm holding you back. And Maki's just has to be selfish at this point and leave it all behind, right? And she says, even if you give it your absolute best to become stronger, it's useless. But I have no intention to become stronger. I can use a curse technique, but you can't, so there's no point. That means as long as I'm around, Maki, you might as well be basically half-baked, half-assed. It's crazy. It's so crazy. And then we get Maki running up to Mai, and then Mai, kind of puts her hand out and just says, look, abandon everything else. I'll take all the cursed energy with me, but promise me one thing, please destroy everything. And man, insane. And you could kind of imply that this is basically going to make Maki much stronger. You could look at this as like a binding vow between these two. You could look at this as a curse, even though she doesn't have cursed energy. But basically, this right here, leaving it all behind, the sacrifice, will automatically and immediately make Maki stronger, take whatever cursed energy is left, and make her better. So please destroy everything, and I mean everything, big sis. And we see the sword get revived, right? Remade by Mai's power. Maki finally wakes up. Mai's dead. Mai is dead. Man, Jujutsu Kaisen is absolutely insane. Gege does not pull any punches. The sacrifices in these shows, the deaths, man. And just knowing how much Mai meant to Maki and how much Maki meant to Mai, those two were one and the same. They just had different goals, but at the end of the day, they both still wanted to be together. They wanted to live together and be together as twins, as sisters. And it just sucks that this world, this family, is cruel. So cruel, right? And so their dad, he senses that all the curses have been destroyed. So he kind of's like, yo, what's going on? What's going on? What happened? And then we get some inner monologue here, right? He says, my body still remembers the feeling of fear that I tried to forget. And we get Maki posted up alongside Toji. So this implies that Ogi feared Toji. Toji was a fear in that household. Toji was out to kill those guys. The Zenin clan could never, ever touch Toji. Toji left it all behind for a reason, and Toji was a demon in that house. Maki's out for the same revenge. But Maki, she wants to destroy it all, while Toji wanted to leave it all behind. That's the difference here. And it's incredible. This panel is so insane. Maki's looking for blood, and then we see Ogi all scared, and he automatically goes into his technique Strong Flame, and man. But after he finishes his sentence, all right, I shall cut, or I shall once again burn you to the core, and Maki blitzes him, cuts him. And you know, it just it's hilarious because this guy said, you know, you're not any better. Like, we have the same abilities, except we have curse technique. But it's just, you could tell this guy had a hatred for Maki because she was a failure, but he was also in a sense scared. You know, Toji is the same as Maki, and you could just tell the insecurities in this family, and it's incredible. And then we get the birds flying away, and then Maki says, let's start. What an incredible chapter, Jujutsu Kaisen, man. This is really something. I think this is going to lead to the slow burn of the Zenin family if Maki ever gets a hold of anybody, right? Man, let me know what you guys think in the comments. This was a crazy chapter. Again, I keep saying that, but I've been loving Jujutsu Kaisen. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of all this, man. Rest in peace, Mai. And Maki, she's about to go crazy. Because what the Zenin clan has done, and all their tendencies, what they stand for, it's about to come crumbling real quick. Thanks, guys.